The Appalachian Trail is the one piece of the American wilderness you have been taught to trust. You buy your lightweight gear, you follow the painted white blazes on the bark of the trees. You sleep in three-sided wooden shelters with strangers who become your friends, and you walk through the ancient, rolling green of the oldest mountains on Earth. It is a 2,200-mile community. It is the safest, most thoroughly mapped wild ground you know, and almost nothing living in it has ever agreed to that arrangement. Most lists of dangerous places send you somewhere remote, somewhere punishing like the Alaskan tundra or the deserts of the Southwest. This one does not move an inch from the most famous hiking path in the world. We are ranking 15 realities of the Appalachian Trail by two things at once: how likely each is to already be waiting within 100 feet of your tent, and how completely you would fail to notice it, weighted by what it actually does to people in real numbers logged by search and rescue teams and park services. And here is the shape of it. We start with the things you dismiss as camp nuisances. We end with something you cannot see from your own sleeping bag, something that has probably already fed on you. By the time we reach number 1, the idea of stepping off the trail is going to stop being a casual thought and start being a very real warning. If you have ever walked a section of these woods, or if you are planning to, take a second to subscribe. It helps the channel bring you the truth about the places you think you know. And tell me one thing, which section of the Appalachian Trail are you watching from, or which part feels the most intimidating to you? Drop it in the comments. I read them. Now, let us begin the countdown. Number 15, the raccoon. You would not think of the creature scratching at the edge of your campsite as a genuine threat. Hikers call them shelter mice on steroids, viewing them as nothing more than masked bandits looking for a discarded energy bar. But the Appalachian Trail cuts through the heart of the most concentrated rabies vectors in the United States. An adult raccoon weighs up to 20 pounds, armed with sharp claws and teeth designed to crush shells and bone. Because they are so common around the AT shelters, hikers lose their natural caution. They try to shoo them away in the dark. They shine headlamps in their eyes. What they do not realize is that a raccoon that refuses to run from a human is often displaying the neurological hijacking of the rabies virus. It does not growl, it just stares, and then it lunges. Number 15 is the reminder that on this trail, the animals that do not run away are the ones you should fear the most. Number 14, the shelter mouse. If you have spent a single night in an Appalachian Trail lean-to, you know the sound. The tiny, frantic scratching in the roof beams and under the floorboards. The white-footed mouse is the undisputed ruler of the trail's infrastructure. People hang their food bags on strings with inverted tuna cans to keep them away, treating them as a structural joke. But what you are actually sleeping in is a concentrated biological hazard. These mice are the primary reservoir for hantavirus, a severe respiratory disease transmitted through aerosolized droppings. When you sweep out a dusty shelter with a pine bough before unrolling your sleeping bag, you are kicking microscopic particles into the stagnant air. You breathe it in while you sleep, miles from the nearest hospital, writing off the early symptoms as just trail exhaustion. Number 14 goes to the killer you sweep into the air with your own hands. Number 13, the brown recluse. The Appalachian Trail is a parade of wooden structures: privies, bear boxes, trail registers, and sleeping platforms. These structures sit in deep, humid shade for decades, providing the perfect environment for a spider that seeks out undisturbed, dark corners. You will rarely see a brown recluse out on the dirt path. They are waiting in the exact places you reach your hands without looking. Inside the roll of toilet paper in the backcountry privy. Under the lip of the wooden logbook box. In the toe of the boot you left on the shelter porch overnight. The bite is often completely painless. You will hike for another 6 hours before the necrotic venom begins to break down the cellular structure of your skin, turning a tiny red mark into a spreading, rotting wound that requires surgical intervention. Number 13 has been living in your shelter the whole time, just waiting for you to reach into the dark. Number 12, the feral hog. Everyone prepares for bears in the Great Smoky Mountains section of the trail. What they do not expect is the sound of the earth being violently torn apart in the dark. Introduced decades ago, feral hogs have bred into an invasive army in the southern Appalachians. A mature boar can weigh 300 pounds, armed with self-sharpening tusks that protrude from its lower jaw. They travel in sounders, groups that strip the forest floor bare. The denial here is rooted in their shape. People think of pigs as domestic and slow, but an Appalachian feral hog can run 30 miles an hour through dense brush. When a hiker stumbles between a sow and her piglets on a misty morning in North Carolina, the hog does not bluff charge. It lowers its head and drives those tusks upward, aiming for the femoral artery in the legs. Number 12 is the invasive muscle that rules the southern woods without you ever knowing it was there. Number 11, the copperhead. As you move through Virginia and Pennsylvania, the trail changes. The soft dirt turns into fractured rock and deep leaf litter. This is where the copperhead thrives. It is not the most venomous snake in the woods, but it is the one responsible for the highest number of bites on the trail. And the reason is its absolute, unwavering faith in its own camouflage. Its scales mimic the exact color and shadow of fallen oak leaves and dappled sunlight. It does not rattle. It does not hiss. It trusts that you will not notice it until you are already too close. Hikers walk in a trance, watching the white blazes on the trees instead of the ground. They step over a log, planting their hiking boot inches from a coiled copperhead. The snake strikes defensively, injecting hemotoxic venom that causes immediate, agonizing swelling. Number 11 is the ambush you walk past a dozen times without seeing, until the one time you place your foot an inch too close. Number 10, the norovirus. This is not an animal, but it is a microscopic predator that hunts hikers more effectively than any wolf ever could. The Appalachian Trail is a highly concentrated corridor. Thousands of people filter through the same water sources, touch the same shelter logs, and use the same privies in a rolling wave of human migration. Norovirus sweeps up the trail every spring like a silent wildfire. The denial is in the water filter. Hikers believe that because they filter their drinking water, they are safe. But norovirus lives on the handles of the privy doors, on the shared cooking pots, on the hands of the hiker who just offered you a handful of trail mix. It strikes with violent, debilitating gastrointestinal illness, leaving hikers severely dehydrated and unable to walk, stranded in the deep woods. Number 10 is the invisible wave that clears the trail faster than any winter storm. Number 9, the bull moose. When through hikers finally reach New Hampshire and Maine, the landscape turns into a harsh, beautiful expanse of alpine bogs and deep spruce forests. Here, they encounter an animal that fundamentally breaks their understanding of scale. People think of moose as awkward, cartoonish herbivores grazing in ponds. They do not realize that an adult bull moose stands 7 feet tall at the shoulder and weighs over 1,000 pounds. During the autumn rut, their testosterone levels spike, turning them into highly aggressive, unpredictable giants. A moose does not view a human as a predator. It views you as a nuisance. If you round a bend in the 100-mile wilderness and surprise a bull, it will not flee. It will lower its massive antlers and trample you into the mud with hooves the size of dinner plates. Number 9 is the reminder that vegetarians can still be the most dangerous creatures in the forest. Number 8, the timber rattlesnake. Welcome to the section hikers call Rocksylvania. The trail here is a brutal, ankle-twisting mess of jagged quartzite. This is the domain of the timber rattlesnake. They are thick, heavy-bodied pit vipers with venom capable of causing severe systemic failure. The psychological twist with the timber rattler is its patience. It is an incredibly calm snake. It will often let a dozen hikers walk past its sunning rock without moving a muscle. But because the rocks require you to use your hands to scramble up steep sections, hikers routinely reach blindly onto ledges. The warning rattle comes only a fraction of a second before the strike, and by the time you hear it, your hand is already in the strike zone. We are at the halfway point, and if you are still walking this trail with me, you are clearly someone who actually wants to know what these woods are hiding, not just the postcard version they sell in the outdoor catalogs. So this is the exact moment to subscribe, because from here up, the list stops being about the things you might stumble into and starts being about the things that are actively changing the rules of the trail itself. Let us keep moving. Number 7, the yellow jacket. This is the ultimate statistical reality check of the Appalachian Trail. More people are evacuated from these mountains due to anaphylactic shock from ground-nesting wasps than from bear attacks and snake bites combined. The denial here is profound. We fear the large and the toothy, but we ignore the buzzing insects. Yellow jackets build massive nests just inches below the surface of the trail dirt. They can house thousands of aggressive workers. When a hiker steps on the soft earth above the nest, the vibration sends the colony into defense mode. They do not sting once and die like bees. They swarm up the hiker's legs, stinging repeatedly, injecting venom that triggers severe allergic reactions even in people who have never been allergic before. The throat swells, the airway closes, and the victim is hours away from an epinephrine shot. Number 7 is the mountain's most efficient, entirely invisible killer. Now the realities of the trail begin to genuinely surprise people, because from here, the list moves from natural hazards into things that have been warped by human presence, and things that simply defy logic. Number 6. The eastern coyote. Everyone knows coyotes live in the woods. People hear them howling at night and dismiss them as cowardly scavengers chasing mice in the brush. But the coyote of the Appalachian corridor is not the small, skittish animal of the western deserts. It is the eastern coyote, carrying a significant percentage of wolf and domestic dog DNA. They are larger, bolder, and they are learning. The trail provides a constant stream of human food waste. In recent years, hikers have begun reporting coyotes that do not run away when shouted at. Instead, they parallel the trail, shadowing hikers in the twilight just beyond the tree line. They are testing boundaries, assessing weakness, waiting for a hiker walking alone with an off-leash dog. Number 6 is a predator that is evolving right beside you, learning that you are not something to be feared. Number 5, the habituated black bear. If there is one animal synonymous with the Appalachian Trail, it is the black bear. The official guidance says they are easily frightened, that you should just wave your arms and make noise. And for a truly wild bear, that is true. But the bears living along the AT corridor in places like New Jersey and the Smokies are not wild anymore. They are habituated. They have learned that a human with a brightly colored backpack is simply a slow-moving food delivery system. The danger is not a predatory stalk, but the complete loss of boundary. A habituated bear will walk into a shelter while you are eating dinner. It will not care if you yell, it will not care if you throw rocks, and if you try to defend your food, a 300-pound animal with claws like iron hooks will simply brush you aside, causing catastrophic trauma. Number 5 is the wild animal we broke, turning it into a monster that expects us to feed it. Number 4, the flash weather of the White Mountains. You might wonder why a weather system is ranked above bears and wolves. It is because the presidential range in New Hampshire kills with an efficiency that no animal can match. Hikers reach this section in July, sweating in t-shirts at the base. They look up at Mount Washington and assume the clear sky will hold. But this specific geographic funnel creates some of the most violent, unpredictable weather on the planet. Within 20 minutes, a sunny afternoon can turn into a blinding, freezing fog with hurricane-force winds. The temperature plummets. Hikers get caught above the tree line with nothing but summer gear. Hypothermia does not look like shivering. It looks like confusion. You sit down behind a rock to rest, your brain stops firing correctly, and you simply go to sleep as the summer wind freezes the blood in your veins. Number 4 is the terrain itself, acting as a ruthless, silent apex predator. Number 3, the feral dog packs. This is the danger no one talks about in the guidebooks. In the deep, rural sections of the Southern Trail, where the woods bleed into forgotten county roads, domestic dogs are abandoned. They group together, reverting to a pack mentality that is far more dangerous than any natural wolf pack. Wolves fear humans, feral dogs do not. They know our smells, our movements, and our weaknesses. They hunt in silence, cutting off escape routes, driven by starvation and a complete lack of the natural boundaries wild animals possess. A hiker walking alone through a quiet stretch of Tennessee might suddenly find themselves surrounded by 5 or 6 starving animals that look like pets but act like a coordinated hit squad. Number 3 is the terror of looking into the eyes of man's best friend and seeing nothing but a predator looking back. And that leaves just 2. Number 2 is a phenomenon that has claimed more lives and created more mysteries than any animal on this list. And Number 1 is the thing I warned you about at the very start, the one you might have already carried home. Number 2. The green wall and the phenomenon of the missing hiker. The Appalachian Trail is 18 inches wide. The woods on either side of it are, for all practical purposes, infinite. Every year, experienced hikers vanish. Not runaways, not accidents. People who step off the trail to go to the bathroom, walk 50 feet into the trees, turn around, and never find their way back. The denial is our absolute overconfidence in our spatial awareness. We think we can always find the path, but the Appalachian woods are a mesmerizing, identical wall of green. Once you lose sight of the white blaze, every tree looks the same. Every ridge mimics the last. Panic sets in. You walk faster, thinking you are heading toward the trail, but you are walking deeper into a wilderness that has not changed in 10,000 years. The tragic case of Geraldine Largay, who survived for weeks in the Maine woods less than 2 miles from the trail, proves the terrifying truth. The trail only protects you while you are on it. Step 3 feet away, and the ancient woods will swallow you whole without making a sound. Number 2 did not just survive these mountains, it is the mountain, and it is entirely indifferent to your survival. And so we arrive at number 1. We close the loop. Remember what I told you at the beginning? I said there was something you would carry home on your own body without ever feeling it. It is the deer tick. Not the bear, not the snake, the tick. Because the deer tick is the absolute, flawless perfection of the denial we have been talking about. You will never hear it coming. You will never feel it land. It waits on a blade of grass at the edge of the trail, holding its front legs out in a posture called questing. It does not chase you. It simply waits for you to brush against the green. When it latches onto your skin, its saliva contains an anesthetic, numbing the bite site so completely that you will hike for 3 days with it feeding on your blood, perfectly hidden behind your knee or in the hairline at the back of your neck. It is the primary vector for Lyme disease, a bacterial infection that can go undiagnosed for months, slowly dismantling your joints, your heart, and your neurological system. It is number 1 because it is the only creature in these woods that does not just hurt you on the trail. It comes home with you. It sits in your house, and it quietly alters the rest of your life while you're busy telling your friends how beautiful the hike was. Number 1 is the true king of the Appalachian Trail, and it's the size of a sesame seed. So here's what this list is really about. There's a softness to the Appalachians that makes you let your guard down. You see the wooden signs, the carved steps, the smiling hikers, and you believe that this place has been tamed. You believe the trail is a park, but the white blazes painted on the trees are just a suggestion. They're a fragile human agreement painted over an ecosystem that has been operating on its own brutal, flawless logic since long before we learned how to walk upright. The copperhead is still coiled on the rock you're about to touch. The habituated bear is still listening to your footsteps from the brush. The green wall is still waiting for you to take 5 steps too far in the wrong direction. The trail did not conquer the woods. It merely drew a thin chalk line through the middle of them. If this changed the way you will look at these mountains the next time you pack your bag, subscribe and stay for the next one. And the next time you are standing on that path and the woods go completely, perfectly quiet, remember why. You were never alone out here. You just thought you were.